I'm going to talk about these books a little bit. And James is eating strawberry guava waffle with haskup syrup if he needs it a little bit sweeter. And I think he'll be talking about...
Can you figure out what kind of book this is?
Yeah.
What does it say?
Well, it's obvious what it says. So, anyway, I guess that's what he's going to be talking about.
I might be a little bit.
I had a hard time deciding which to put on the top, because this one actually has a great, well, I guess I should get up and show you that. Right at the back of the book. I always loved this when I was a teenager, looking at these maps. And so I'll just show you this. Here's a map of European hardiness compared to the United States. And it's a big difference. So,
well, I mean, they don't get a lot of sunshine in Europe, but it's pretty mild there in the wintertime, and that's the main thing, right?
Yeah. So, because what you look for what gardeners look for is the hardiness. So, you want to know, well, is my plant going to be hardy to where I'm living? And unfortunately, this has the United States, it has Europe, but it does not have Canada. So that's
wow,
kind of
what's going on there?
Because
where was
we're
this
not
published?
important enough.
It looks as though, well, it's got color for Europe.
It's from London, but
there we go.
Anyway.
So that's why there's color for Europe and only black and white.
So why this one doesn't have that map? Most gardening book, you'll see the hardiness map because it's important. I mean, it's the most important thing, actually.
Wow.
Because there's other things, you know, certain plants will grow in swampy areas, certain dry, but if it gets too cold, that plant's toast anyway, if it's a perennial.
Well, this one didn't get enough sunshine, but...
Well, that was in my house. That's a different matter altogether.
I was looking for an example.
Anyway, but so this one doesn't have a map, but still, it is a bit different. It's all of these plants in here are actually bulbs. I will say that they flower from bulbs. They grow from bulbs. And
well, can't bulbs overwinter? Aren't they perennials, or how does that work?
Yeah, but it depends on your zone.
Okay.
So, because not all of them are going to overwinter. I mean, some that are from really warm places, you plant them here, and well, they're not going to do that well. So, anyway, I was out looking at this plant. It's Scilla.
And you wrote something about it.
I did, yeah. I wrote a poem
yesterday.
It was in a poem. So, well, yeah, it was.
Okay.
Because this is, it says right here, this is the most commonly grown species. And I don't like the white cultivar. Who wants to see white early in the spring, right after the snow melts?
I'm not a big fan of it anytime on flowers, but...
But Spring Beauty is a dark blue flower, fragrant, long-lasting. Fantastic. And it's, I mean, well, you get it from the name, Scilla siberica. You know it's going to be pretty darn hardy, and its hardiness is zone 2, which, I mean, pretty much anywhere you are in Canada, you're going to be able to grow that sweet little bulb. And it's flowering right now. It's very nice to see something right away in the spring. But what I like about that is that it says for all seasons, and it is set up for seasonally. So you know, the spring bulbs are in one section, spring flowers, and then right? So it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to, if you're organizing your garden, you want to know, okay, well, I want some color in the spring. I want some color at this. Then that's really handy. And plus you have the hardy, as long as you know, you can go online and you can get a zone map, hardiness zone map. So it's in there. Zones are in there. And this one, what put it over the edge for me is there's some really pretty flowers in here, and a lot of things that I mean, I just look at these pictures and I'm like, oh boy. And most gardeners, they're like me that way, you know. But I was flipping through and I can't find it now, but
There's some tasty looking plants in
I
there.
know, great photos. But a lot of gardening books, they have great photos. People who love flowers, they do the job with taking pictures of them. So
These
anyway,
are really sharp.
they are, yeah. But well, I'm not finding it, so I'm just going to have to tell you. You're going to have to trust me.
So which flower
There's
are you talking
bleeding heart in here, which is not a bulb.
Oh,
It's a rhizome. So not all the plants, it says it's bulbs, but they're not all bulbs in there, which is really disappointing.
yeesh.
Yeah. So
There is a little bit of a glossary in there, but does it even have a rhizome in it?
I don't know. So anyway,
Nope. So it does have.
I talked about Lois
Doesn't
Hole's
even have a definition for
plant
bulbs, so-
favorites a little bit, and a lot of people might be tempted in Alberta to get this book because Lois Hole's a gardener from Alberta. So you think, okay, well, I'm going to get some hardy things here. But I mean, she's talking about bedding plants, and that they're from all over the place. She's just looking at things that you can throw in for the summer, get a bang color and whatever, and it's there it is. So it's I don't know why I couldn't find it.
Well, I
But-
just looked it up on the internet.
So all of these things, I mean, there's all sorts of things in here. There's fuchsias, there's geraniums, like my dead one in the pot there. But I have some live ones in the house that they've held on for a couple of years now. That guy, he just didn't make it. You know, I probably forgot to water him enough or something like that. I don't know. But in the winter, there's my window space is high realty, so not everyone gets the prime spots and whatever. But what I'm saying
The only
is,
one I cry about is the goldenberry.
yeah,
That
we
one
had that
lasted
for
so long,
long.
and I don't
It's-
know what
yeah.
zone it is.
Well, I don't know either, but
But you had it out for outside for much of the year.
I did, yeah. And then I'd bring it
It
in,
looked
and
like
then
a
I'd
jungle.
bring it back in, out again, bring it in.
But
And
it was so heavy, it was brutal on your back.
yeah, it was brutal. But boy, did I ever love that plant. The one especially that was so huge, because when you look at a goldenberry seed, they're so small, and it's just shocking that such a big plant could come from such a small seed. I don't know. And
They're what we call gooseberries in Africa.
Yeah.
And, I can remember I had them when we were over there the first time. So I just turned 5 when we came over, and I thought they were just wonderful. But the best thing I ever had over there was they call it grenadilla, which is that purple thing with the yellow inside. Fleshy passion fruit. Yeah.
oh, and I think there's iris on the cover too, and that's also, well, maybe no, that looks like an iris. So that
This
plant
is
book,
an
it
iris
says it's
here?
bulbs, but well, it looks like
Yeah,
it to me.
let's see if he's
And-
got. He admits it. Bleeding hearts are rising, right?
But why is it in there?
I,
The book says bulbs.
Yeah.
Anyway, so bedding plant favorites. If you plant these in your garden and you think, oh, this is great, I'm going to design my garden, and year after year, no, it won't, because this is just bedding plants. What a lot of people do is they'll put in their bulbs and their perennials, and then you look at the tags, like say your shrubs and stuff, you look on the tags and you say, okay, well, this gets that big, and these perennials, they get this big, and I want them to spread here or whatever. But then you have a lot of gaps. When you first put your little perennials and your bulbs, and you have some gaps where they haven't filled in yet. Because the bulbs will multiply, the perennials will spread and grow. But when they first go, and especially with shrubs and stuff, with the woody stuff, well, it's going to get way bigger. But when you first put it, it's just little. So what do? A lot of gardeners, they'll put their perennials in, and then they'll fill in the gaps with annuals. So this is handy too. But it's just something you have to realize, well, this isn't going to come back for you. It's just something to make you happy for the season until things start filling in. Your perennials start filling in.
Anyway, you were right. That's the thing on the cover. So
Yeah.
it's an iris. They have what, almost almost more than a dozen entries for iris in here. That's iris insata. I think that must be sorted or something like that. Although they say it's, well, beardless. But that's not insata. Ensiform means shaped like a sword. I think that would be Latin. So, yeah, it's a wonderful looking plant, but maybe a little bit misplaced. I mean, this is a small volume. Maybe he's just trying to fill it up. Or, yeah, John, Brian. Trying to fill it out with this other stuff. Anyway, that's English. You were saying.
And this book, it looks like it's thick, the Garden Flowers book. But there are so many, like this says, how to grow over 300 of the best performing varieties. Okay, well 300, that's not very many when you're looking at garden things. So they have begonias in here. Well, that's not going to come back for you. That's just something to plug in. And well, I have some begonias in the house. They're still alive, and so you'll see them out here. They hung on. So that's great. But there's hostas in here, and they will come back here. They're perennial. They'll come back year after year. And so there's some things in here that are perennials and other things not. But I suppose this book doesn't make any claims that, you know, that it's just garden flowers. So it's annual, perennial, whatever. But I didn't find it to be that useful. The pictures are nice. The pictures are always nice.
The entries look professional, but there's not enough there. Is that
There's okay. I mean, they do tell you when it'll be flowering. That's but where are they looking at that? Because I don't know. It sure won't be flowering here in February.
I bet
or
it's
March.
In eastern United States. This thing incidentally came from Oregon.
So anyway.
So it's got well, at least it includes Canada.
It does include Canada here.
Does it have anything else there?
But I'll show you something. When you have a picture like this, it doesn't give you enough detail to really know. You're kind of guessing on, am I that or that, whatever.
The colors fade into one another.
Yeah, and I mean, really, British Columbia, there's so much difference
detail.
And
do the same thing down
and
here.
it's really hard to tell. Like you're looking at the Maritimes, what's that? I don't know. And it's pretty hard to tell. They've used like a yellow, orange, red sort of range.
Continuum,
And why not use a whole rainbow of colors? Because plus it's too small for the detail.
They should add at least two maps. I mean, it's a fairly large volume. So they've only got the one map. They haven't even bothered with Europe. And Anyway, I do like the way things are set out here. It seems to be more scientific, but that might be illusory. Let's just see where it comes from. It's probably got it at the back. When I see Graham, I think it's English, but. It could be.
But it's always nice to, this time of year, I mean now, like I said, here in southern Alberta in Lethbridge, there are scillas blooming. I saw them at the, while I was walking James's house yesterday. And I also saw some daffodils in somebody's yard that you could see they were ready to go. So this week they will open. So we will have daffodils opening this week too, which is awesome. But so the flower season has begun, but oftentimes gardeners, you're excited, whatever, you want to get out and doing stuff, whatever. You can't really do a whole lot yet. You can get things planned, you can get your site cleaned up, whatever, for your gardening site cleaned up. And you can read through these books and dream. But I start doing this in around January. Start dreaming.
Anyway, this comes originally from England.
Okay.
They don't even have a map of England in there.
That's
It's the American and Canadian edition.
Oh, okay.
This edition published. The first published 2000, America's limited.
So that Canadians don't get jealous of European hardiness songs.
Anyway, well, it could happen. So you're going to, you got most? Oh,
no, that's
okay.
it.
You got through those when I was
everything.
looking through some stuff.
So how's guava? We got the strawberries and guava given to us today at the Salvation Army. I'm very thankful.
I haven't eaten that one. We used to. Did we peel them? I can't remember. I think
She said you just eat them.
Yeah, I know, but
She said that's what she was told by some. Okay.
we used to eat them in Africa. They used to grow in our yard. In fact, I can't think of any fruit we had more of. We had lots of lemons, and but they had a very narrow season, and they were
they smell
amazing.
amazing.
As a kid, we could eat these lemons. You know, kids
Yeah,
are
you
very
told me.
strong.
Yes.
People out there wouldn't necessarily know it. You peel them and
Yeah.
eat them. So what else did we have? We had one peach tree that just wasn't doing well. So I don't know if we ever ate the fruit off of it. We had bananas there, real bananas. They were small, but they weren't plantains.
Well, I'm excited to see what you think of the guava, because that was a wonderful treat
Well,
to get.
it should
I've
be-
never had guava,
take-
fresh guava.
So you're going to eat part of it, or you're a little
No,
afraid of it?
there's.
But
We
there's
got
more.
more. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to cut it open and see what it's like. Do you want me to eat it now, like
Yes,
with the
just
skin?
take a bite.
Okay, because that's not how I can call us eating it.
Oh.
It's not that sweet, okay? So I don't know what the skin is like. Kind of
So not the skin.
I don't know. There's not much here aside from the skin. See how thick the skin
Okay.
is? The stuff we had in Africa, they probably have a varieties. Had pink flesh.
Oh, yeah.
You can't tell
It's
the
yellow.
difference. Now, might not be ripe.
Well, that could very well be. It might be difficult to get a guava in the state they're meant to be in here in Canada.
Oh, we had more of mangoes than guavas.
Okay.
They were awesome. Huge, big mangoes and all that stuff. And you just go out as a kid, pick them. And because they seem to be low hanging fruit. And then on the mission, there was a big fig tree. We shouldn't have been doing it, but we picked them. I couldn't climb the tree. They're huge, these trees. But we'd get the stuff that had fallen on the ground. But there's so many bugs there. We really shouldn't have been doing it. I suspect we've been told not to. So we had a variety of different things. It's just hard to think of being in your backyard, you know. Well, mulberry trees were the best
Yeah.
because they were climbable even for me. So you'd go up in the heat of the summer. Well, it probably wasn't summer, but
Just hang out like a
heat
little
of the
monkey.
dry season, and you'd be picking the berries. I got a little bit more respectful of it. One time, I'm picking the berries and I'm looking eye to eye at a little boomslang, which is
Oh.
tree snake in
Yes, lucky
Afrikaans.
thing you didn't get.
Yeah, they've got they're very poisonous, but they're very small. They can't open their mouth up very much, and their fangs, their injecting fangs, are in the back of their mouth, not at the front. So they have a little bit of trouble injecting their poison in.
Oh,
You don't
so
want a
they
monkey.
only really poison what they're going to eat.
I don't know how that works out, but presumably that's it. I never really thought about that. You know, when you're a kid, you're just going, okay, you gotta watch out for these things. The ones we worried about because they went after mice, and we had mice in the house where the spinning cobras. So oftentimes they'd be in our house, and they had to be dealt with. I think one killed one of our cats, and he lasted a while. No, a couple of our cats. No, one survived. He had a big lump under his jaw, but we figured that it didn't kill him. But when we were there the first time, one died. Did a lot of howling and yelling
Poor guy.
before he went. But yeah, cobras going after the mice. So you'd rather have cats to take care of the mice. You know? We did have cats there. We didn't have dogs. Dogs, we were afraid of ravens.
So the guava is sour.
Well,
It smells really good.
well, it's nice and fresh. I don't know. There's not how I recall the taste.
Okay.
I can recall the seeds, kind of crunchy.
I'm still thankful
So
for
they're
it.
a little bit like
I'm going to save some of the seeds and plant them.
what are those pomegranates?
Oh.
You know, they got a lot of seeds of it and stuff like that. I was telling Pauline on the way back after we picked these up that we used to have them like for our, not lunch break, but there was a mid-morning break, and you used to have to drink milk, which is horrible because they'd boil it, they had to. And so it had scum on top. Well, I don't know if they boiled it, they must have. And then it would develop scum on top as it cooled down.
Yeah.
And I couldn't drink it hot, picking the scum up and stuff like that. But you had to drink the milk, it was required. It was a boarding school. My family wasn't boarding. My parents were missionaries there, teachers. I guess my dad taught there. My mom taught. They had a segregated school. It was a British colony, but there were Boers there. They were socially dominant. It was an American mission, but the Boers especially liked picking on our family because we weren't American, we were Canadian. Well, the oldest, Marius, was a nice guy. He had this one family. But as they got younger, the youngest, Quentin, was a horrible puke. I'm not mentioning the last name. And the second youngest, Johannes, he was a horrible puke too. But Quentin was worse. Anyway, yeah, they were really mean to my older brother. Not so mean to me. Still mean, I understand. And stuff like that. So we're talking about Afrikaans guava. This is the Bible in Afrikaans, so it's a form of Dutch. And I'm teaching myself Afrikaans just by going through the Bible. How can you do that? Well, you know, I taught myself Dutch by what I taught myself largely. I took some German in school, but I taught myself German to a large extent. And, you know, I kind of do German crossword puzzles, or German Rätsels. You get these big books that have a variety of different puzzles in them. Some of them are like word searches. They call them something different than word searches. Those are easy as pie, but they got one that are called Schweden Rätsels, Swedish riddles, puzzles. They are Kreuzwort Rätsels, so that's crossword riddles, crossword puzzle. So I largely taught myself German. I learned much of the grammar in the university, but learning a language is largely, once you learn the basic grammar, is largely a matter of picking up vocabulary. I've done a job with that. So German to Dutch, now to Afrikaans and Frisian. Frisian is not really Dutch, but it's related to Dutch. They say it's the closest language to English. How long? 10?
I'm trying to get it so that people can actually see you because it's bright sun. Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
So how much sun?
5 minutes.
Oh, that's not much.
A little more.
Anyway, I'm just warning you. I'm going through this. I've gone through about 200 pages, and there's about 1,200, so I'm a sixth of the way through. Maybe in another week if I decide to just devote myself largely to that. So, I was threatening yesterday to deal with start dealing with what happened at the Exodus. So. Now, they say, you see, the Earth goes through what's called the precession of the equinoxes. And so where the equinox point is in the stars, in the zodiac, or whatever you call it, changes over the years. I think it's 1 degree every 71 years, or as they say, 1 day every 71 years. It comes out to the same thing, I suspect, because 360 days in a year, 360 degrees all around the world. Anyway, I looked it up on the internet. I think it was Wiki, Jim, that I think you can trust. A wiki, you got to be careful even with that. And they were saying the division between the vernal equinox, that's the spring equinox, which we've just passed. It's usually somewhere, I think, around the 21st of March. When was it? Between Taurus and Aries. back in 1866, and I said thank you, because I think that's when many calendars were started anew, when the world got thumped. So that's the whole world got thumped. Some places way worse than others, but it looks like there were at least 10 pieces of a comet split up like Comet Shoemaker-Levy, and that's definitely in my lifetime. It's in Pauline's lifetime. It's in the lifetime of anyone who's lived a little more than 30 years. I think it was 1993. It hit the solar system with a great thump. No, several thumps, 20 of them. I can't say to be exact, as it might have been 21, but at least 20 thumps. It hit Jupiter, thank heavens. Each one of those thumps, the disturbance in the atmosphere of Jupiter was as wide as the Earth. Okay? So just one of those impacts, the disturbance in the atmosphere would have gone all the way, let's say, like you're facing here, and there's the international date line, and here's the prime meridian. It would have affected the atmosphere at least over half the globe. On times, eh? Imagine getting hit 20 times with that. It's something like that. And my suspicion is around the time of the Exodus, which I've redated tentatively from 1853 BC to 1866. Oh, I was off by 13 years. How awful. Anyway, I think, and so there's something that hit the Earth, not the continental surface, the ocean surface, bottom of the ocean, and it impacted right here. I suspect it was part of this comet. Why it should be so far south of the ecliptic, I don't know. The ecliptic should be roughly on the equator, on the vernal equinox, if I'm not mistaken, but it was roughly 30 degrees south and 60 degrees east. Boom. Caused a huge tidal wave in Madagascar. Of course, it's fairly close to Madagascar. Just judging from what I've read of the archaeology of the Indus Valley civilization, it caused a major league flood there with deposits of large amounts of mud. It, or maybe another hunk of the comet, I don't know why it would so far separated. Something at the Persian Gulf, I haven't got a date on it, but something deposited a huge amount of mud near Basra here. It's got a little point there. It's right by Kuwait, the head of the Persian Gulf, and deposited 9 feet of mud. There's city, Leonard Woolley, so-called Sir Leonard Woolley, was digging down, ran out of city, kept on digging down. Don't know how he persuaded his workers to do it. Maybe he had to give him a little bit of extra money. Not that he would have been giving them very much. And after 9 feet of, according to him, obviously water lake deposit, sterile layer, I think he called it, he ran into more city. So he thought that was the biblical flood, but that's silly, because there's city and city, and the biblical flood comes, or the flood, well, he was correlating with the flood of the Bible, but there's one mentioned, the Epic of Gilgamesh. There's lots of other things mentioned in that epic. According to the chronology that comes down, well, that we dug up from Mesopotamia, their flood occurred before history started, and that would be before city started. So bad correlation. That's the way it goes.